I'm Divya Raghavan Molloy. I own and run Sethji's, Indian vegetarian. I am originally from Bangalore, India, the southern part of India. I'm an engineer by education. So I worked for companies like Yahoo, ESPN, in the tech side for a long time, did a bunch of startups, and finally decided I wanted to go back to school. So I went to Babson to get my MBA. Graduated in 2016 and, had my kid. And I mean, literally like 2 months after I graduated, I had my kid. I decided I'm going to stay at home with her. Coming from tech and from India, I'm from a very orthodox family in India. Doing what I'm doing right now is a huge change, but I had to take the leap. My husband's family is originally from Westwood. My mother-in-law still lives there. When I moved here, I was living with her for a while. It was the best thing ever. I love Westwood. Seth, my husband, who Sethji is named after. When we moved to Sherburne, we joined, community teams. Sherburne Forest and Trails Association was a big thing. So we would host people for dinner. We'd have people over, neighbors, introducing them to this crazy cuisine. People started asking me if they could buy my food, and for me, it was crazy. I was like, I'm just gonna have you over for dinner. At that point, Seth came up and said, this is your thing. This is what you do. You get up in the morning and you start cooking. People are asking, people love your food. Maybe it's not that bad an idea to try. When this place came up for lease on Park Street, I basically jumped, saying it's right in the middle of my home and mom's home, and it's Medfield. I've totally gone off rails by starting an Indian vegetarian, very specific business in Medfield Center. For me, this is not just a place of business anymore, it's just home. My relationship with food is joy. So if you put me in the kitchen right now, how much ever stress I have in my life, otherwise even trying to run a business is very stressful. My kitchen in Medfield right now is my happy place. I started off as wanting to do a midweek dinner for families and individuals. You've run out of groceries, you're working really hard, you don't have time to make your meals. I have that covered for you. I wanted to focus on Southern Indian food. We eat differently from here, right? We don't have our main protein and starch and vegetables. How we eat is, we call it thali. Thali comes with a bunch of different dishes on your plate. So you have 4 or 5, depends on how big the thali is. Sometimes you're gonna get 12. There is something for everybody in a thali. And the way we eat is not everything is spicy. Not everything is oily. So we always have a balance that we have to maintain Ayurvedically. So there is balance in sweet, sour, heat, salt. I wanted to introduce that form of eating to our communities here. Home style food, which is comforting, which is not what we know as Indian food here, right? Food that I grew up eating. There is Indian food as we know, and Indian food from Sethji's. How there is a stark difference. Indian food as we know, there is a reputation Indian food has. 2 big things. One, it's, greasy, spicy. Spice is not a scary word. When you hear Sethji's vegetarian or Indian food, don't be scared. I would be cooking like 20 quarts of food with 2 tablespoons of oil. So that's my style of cooking, and it's never going to be greasy, spicy. I like tasting my food, which is a huge thing. The other is that I have taken all of those non-vegan friendly dishes from India and made it vegan, gluten-free. I want to tell people that have dietary restrictions like I do, I have food for you. I have all of that covered, right? Gluten-free, I've got it. dairy-free, I have it, and I have options that are as delicious. Why I do thali is I want something for everybody in the family. There are kids that can't, there will be the picky, they're still learning how to eat. Someone can handle spice, someone can't. So I have something for everybody. That for me is very important, especially how kids eat is very personal to me because I do have a 4.5-year-old. The way my daughter eats today, she will eat anything you put in front of her, right? As long as it's vegetarian, she will eat it. I want to raise my child the way I was raised, exposed to all of these foods. I'm so proud to say kids come in with their parents just to tell me how much they liked the food the previous week, which is amazing because we always think of kids as they can't handle spice, they can't handle this, they can't handle that. But they love it. There's so many flavors rather than just the heat or the salt, which the kids like. So in the last 1.5 years that I've been here, that is my biggest joy. When kids come up to me and say, we loved it, we wanted to come and tell you how much we loved it. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that. That is one big thing. And the other side of it is a lot of people like my mother-in-law who grew up here, people like that wanting to venture and try my food and liking it is the other big win for me. Sethji is trying to do a lot, but right now I'm only focused on meals to go, which is you order online and you come and pick up on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Or I even drop off at Sherburn Wines and Spirits in Sherburn Center on Fridays to pick up from there. I change my menu every week for 2 reasons. 1, I get bored. 2, I want people to try many different things that they haven't before. Vegetables that they've never heard of. You know how when you go to a restaurant, you always order the same thing because you know what it is? I want to take that out of the equation. So I don't give anyone a choice. I say this is the whole meal and you get the entire dinner. And it comes with 4 dishes, yogurt, rice to go with it, and a condiment or bread or something. So it's 7 things that comes in every meal. That's what I'm focused on right now. Midweek dinners for families. A lot of people come back and say, I love getting dinner from you because I take lunch the next day. And it's not something that I'm just grabbing. It's healthy, it's delicious. Sethjis.com, Sethjis.com. I put up my menu every Friday for the coming week, and you order and you pay online. All you have to do is go to Sethjis.com, you'll see the menu right on the homepage, and if you like the menu, you could order right there. You just have to tell me how many dinners you can pick, and you pay online and you come and just pick it up the day you order. The other way to do it is I have meal subscriptions. So you subscribe to 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whether you want just 1 dinner every week or every other week, or you want 2 dinners because you're more than 1 person. You subscribe and you just come and show up on the day every week and I will have your dinner ready. The way to reach me would be through email or phone, which is available on my website. You can even chat with me on the website, and I'm always there. And I respond pretty quickly. Happy to talk anytime. Zero waste is a huge thing for me. So one reason why I have a model that I do is I try not to waste food. I'm trying to get to a complete zero waste. So sometimes I sell out because I don't want to waste food. That's one of the reasons I tell people to order ahead of time, so I would have dinner for them rather than waiting till last minute, because I'm headed towards zero waste. I don't even throw out vegetable scraps. I feed it to my chickens and ducks and I compost it. And if I have spare vegetables, I take it to farms, animal farms, farm sanctuaries. Unity Farms is a big one. Sustainability is another big thing for me. I am proud to say Since January, I have moved to compostable containers completely. That makes me very happy. The other things that I was doing pre-COVID was I would host supper clubs at the restaurant, which is very dear to my heart. Very dear to my heart. I mean, it started off as an experiment. I would have 14 people that don't know each other. They'd all come sit together, community style, and I was bringing food out, family style, and they would all eat together and they'd get to know people, whether you're alone, whether you're, a single mom, a single dad, and have 3 kids to watch over. And expecting kids to sit in one place for 2 hours is outrageous. So I converted one dining room into a playroom. So it's got a dollhouse and toys up the wazoo, all kinds of things. So people can bring their kids and they go play. And adults can socialize and be adults and have a few laughs and not worry about, having to get their kid to sit in one place and behave. You don't have to behave, you can run back and forth. I'm hoping, post-COVID, I can start that again. I did events with Zealous, with Jeff, where I did food. The recent one was October out at Meeting House Park. Things that I'm trying to add is I'm thinking about experimenting with farmers market. I want to be able to make foods that I don't normally do. So you could get at the farmers market, condiments and stuff. I make tomatillo salsa that is to die for. I shouldn't be saying that, but I love it. But I'm trying to branch out that way. Of course, this is also to bring in more revenue, to sustain right now. When I started this place, we were 2 of us that took the place together, so we were sharing the kitchen. Now it's just me. So that is a big thing. Basically, the expenses are doubled. Everything is just Sethji. So sustaining that amount is very hard. I think there are positives and negatives to the last year and a half. Like everybody else, it's not just me. All of us, all the small businesses in all this entire area, we're all holding on by a thread. And many times I thank my stars saying I'm still here. A lot of people have closed down. Thousands of restaurants have closed down so far. The way that it has changed my everyday is I don't let people into the restaurant. I only do curbside, which means that I have to be present for every car that pulls up. And I have to make sure that I'm safe, that my customers are safe. A lot of people are afraid to get food from outside. So there is definite loss of business. It's for everybody. It's for village cleaners or the yoga studio upstairs, Medfield Yoga, or Eddie at House of Pizza. All of us are in the same boat and we're all struggling. The only hope is that we will sustain and stay till the other end of this whole pandemic. Positives that have come out is incredible, unbelievable community support. They want me there, they want Peter here, they want Tracy there. They are so supportive. And it's a huge positive. And I feel like we wouldn't have seen this if it wasn't for the pandemic. Everybody comes together, they talk about us, they tell other people. Supporting these small businesses has become so much more critical. Like every time I can, I definitely get takeout from every small business there is. The only thing that I'm hoping for at this point is all of us step up and support as much as possible. And that's the only way that we will all be here. Otherwise, Medfield Center is not going to be Medfield Center anymore, Heritage is another thing that is very core to Sethji's. I want to keep my grandmother's, so many other grandmothers' heritage that would probably just vanish in thin air. She was the best cook ever. That's all she did. She never left home. She raised her kids and grandkids, and she cooked. My mother had a full-time job. My dad had a full-time job, so I was basically cooking with my grandmother for the whole family since I was 12. And I've been obsessed with it ever since. I was joking recently that I should be featured in Ugly Delicious because I don't believe in good-looking food, but I believe in good-tasting food. My grandma always said, don't cook with a spoon, cook with your nose, because we weren't allowed to taste our food until it's completely done, right, and offered to the gods and all of that. So she taught me how to cook with my nose. You smell, you know how much salt there is. You smell, you know, it needs more spice. When you're creating something new, you take this heritage thing and then you turn it into something new that's your own. Joy, happiness that brings is hugely important. My brother-in-law is a painter. I've got a bunch of his paintings hanging around, hoping to support him. His thing is constantly evolving. I did this and then something else happened and I got inspired along the way and I did something completely different and then this is what came out of it. I think cooking for me is very similar. You start off at one point and it is constantly evolving. That evolution and what comes out of that is, for me, is art. I go off rails all the time. I love that about cooking. I love how it's just constantly evolving, at least in my world. There are no recipes that I follow. It's all up here. It's all from my nose. It's all how I feel. It's the weather. The weather is different. I will change the recipe. That's my happy place. For me, when I'm sitting there and coming up with all kinds of things and I change it or I introduce a completely new spice into it and it's like, whoa, what just happened? Like, nobody will know that I am using the Korean chilies for some of my spices because it just happened and it evolved and it's so much better with that flavor. For me, that makes it art. There are certain parts of it, obviously, which is very fundamental in science. You know, heat, for example, itself is science. Salt is science. But everything else, for me, is art. It's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing, and it's constantly either getting very terrible and throw it out, or it's turning into something that's completely beautiful. Food is beautiful.